Hello and thank you for joining us. This is the news at 7 on NTA International. I am Lami Ali and the sign language interpreter is Precious Ozoimena. Let's go for the headlines. Federal government commits to commencement of special agro-processing zones before December this year. NAFDAC workers down tools over promotion and welfare issues. Also on the news, 2 American scientists win Nobel Prize for gene regulation breakthrough. Now we begin with the situation in Rivers State. President Bola Tinubu has called on Governor Siminalayi Fubara, political leaders and their supporters in Rivers State to exercise restraints and uphold the rule of law. In response to recent tensions following the last Saturday's local government council election, the president expressed deep concern over reports of arson and explosion in the state. He urged all political actors to de-escalate the situation and discourage their supporters from engaging in violence or destructive actions. President Tinubu directed the police to restore and maintain peace, law and order immediately. While instructing law enforcement agencies to bring the situation under control, he emphasized the need to ensure the security of public institutions. President Tinubu said government facilities built with public funds must be safeguarded from vandalism. He stressed that self-help has no place in a democratic system, especially after 25 years of continuous democracy. The president says the judiciary can settle all political disputes and the outcome of this election should be no exception. Now, the federal government has reaffirmed commitment to fostering a strong partnership with the private sector to drive Nigeria's economic growth and industrialization. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this during a meeting with a team from the Nigeria Economic Summit Group ahead of the group's 30th Nigeria Summit. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jibrila has a report.
Nigeria, pregnant with possibilities. At this point, Vice President Kashim Shettima describes the Nigeria Economic Summit Group as the premier economic organization that holds the power to support the attainment of Nigeria's potential, emphasizing the critical role of electricity in driving industrialization. The Vice President believes that if the government gets the act right, Nigeria will influence development in Africa. The current administration, he said, is uniquely attuned to the needs of businesses. He pledged support for the private sector, calling it an essential partnership for economic growth. Vice Chairman of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, who led the team, said the 30th Nigerian Economic Summit is a pivotal platform for discussing regulatory reforms essential for economic competitiveness.
The expectation is still for the outcome to be largely economic growth. That's what we all want. We want to see double-digit growth. This government has indicated that that is their agenda. We would like to support and put in place all the necessary tools and policies that will allow government to be able to achieve that.
In addition to the discussions, the summit will feature design workshops aimed at addressing critical issues such as food security, digital inclusion, and healthcare access, with a high-level panels addressing fiscal reforms and infrastructure development, underscoring the need for strategic investment. From the State House, Abdulrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
U.S. scientist Gary Ruvkun, who won the Nobel Prize in Medicine with fellow American Victor Ambrose for their discovery, said winning the honor was like an earthquake. Francis Udojo has the details.
The 72-year-old Professor Gary Ruvkun at Harvard Medical School told Swedish Public Radio SR just after the announcement was made in Stockholm that it is a big deal, it is a big one, it is an earthquake. He was woken by a call from the Nobel Prize Committee in the United States. He said he looked forward to attending the Nobel Gala in Stockholm on December 10 when the laureates received their prizes from Sweden's King Carl XVI Gustaf. The Nobel Committee failed, however, to reach Ambrose, who learned the news from a reporter who who called and broke the news to the 70-year-old professor at the University of Massachusetts Medical School and said he was pleased for the award. The Nobel Prize consists of a diploma, a gold medal, and a $1 million check to be shared by the pair. Collaborating but working separately, they discovered microna, a new class of tiny RNA molecules that play a crucial role in gene regulation, which in turn allows each cell to select only relevant instructions. Gene regulation that goes wrong can lead to serious diseases such as cancer or diabetes. Francis Udojo, NT News.
The Rwandan government has warned its deadly Marburg virus disease outbreak could become a global problem and requires nations to collaborate in curbing the menace. Again, Francis Udojo brings us the details.
Rwandan Health Minister Sabin Nsanzimana, while speaking in Kigali as the government rushed out vaccines to help the most vulnerable, said, and I quote, "We believe that this outbreak is not a national issue. It is a global problem and concern. We need to work together with our partners and colleagues to make sure that no outbreaks are entering Rwanda from elsewhere and no outbreaks are leaving Rwanda to other countries." End of quote. The minister said vaccinations will start immediately with the campaign focusing primarily on frontline healthcare workers, adding that, unfortunately, the country has lost 12 people so far. He added that the majority of new cases and deaths are from healthcare workers, specifically in the departments of intensive care of the two hospitals where the virus was first detected. Nsanzimana announced that 51 cases of Marburg had been detected in Rwanda since the start of the outbreak last month. He went on to confirm that 5 people had recovered after contracting the disease, with more expected in the coming hours.
We've seen tested other contacts of the first cases, and cumulatively we have got 46 cases of Marburg confirmed, plus 5 new cases that we communicated last night.
The Rwandan government confirmed reports of a Marburg outbreak late last month, introducing a series of measures to contain the spread, including bans on hospital visits and limiting gatherings. Authorities have rolled out 700 doses in the initial vaccination campaign, which started on Sunday. MVD is in the same family as the virus which causes Ebola and has a fatality ratio of 88%. According to the World Health Organization (WHO), infected patients develop severe hemorrhagic symptoms within 7 days of contracting the virus, including fever, headaches, muscle pains, vomiting, and diarrhea. Francis Udojo, NT News.
2018, the World Health Organization launched the global strategy to accelerate the elimination of cervical cancer, aiming for a world where no woman dies from the disease. In line with this, the National Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment is building the capacity of health workers and caregivers at the primary and secondary levels to help reduce the growing burden by equipping them to screen women and girls for proper referrals to oncologists. Uche Gochku reports.
Cervical cancer claims thousands of lives annually in Nigeria, with an estimated 14,943 new cases diagnosed in 2020 alone. Inadequate prompt detection and treatment have contributed to the gaps in combating the disease. The Nigeria Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment, NICRAT, is set to bridge these gaps by training health workers across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country to equip them with cutting-edge techniques for early cancer detection and proper screening protocols.
So it is my pleasure that, I'm part of the training to help people that are dying so that we'll prevent most of these deaths.
As a participant who has contacts with the patients at the secondary healthcare level, I expect as I'm living here, I should be taking back to my people the current trends in the diagnosis and management.
This initiative, NICRAT believes, will will reduce death rates of women and girls from cervical cancer and improve quality healthcare at the grassroots.
Part of the thing that the NICRAT is doing currently, which is extracted from our 5-year strategic plan, is to equip our primary and secondary healthcare workers, because these are like the first line physicians that our patients see. If they miss the diagnosis of cervical cancer at that stage, definitely it will not be detected again until it has reached to advanced stage.
Girls aged 9 to 14 are, however, encouraged to take the free HPV vaccine for protection against the disease. Uchi Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Today is World Habitat Day. It was designated in 1985 by the United Nations to be marked on the first Monday of October every year. The idea is to reflect on the state of our towns and cities and the basic right of all to adequate shelter. Francis Udojo reports that in line with the above, UN urges nations to empower youth and involve them in urban decision-making for developing inclusive and resilient cities, as youths in the global south make up 70% or more of the population in cities.
The global observance of World Habitat Day 2024 is under the theme Engaging Youth to Create a Better Urban Future. This event also aims to address the challenges and opportunities of rapid urbanization by focusing on the active involvement of young people in shaping sustainable cities and communities. The observance focuses on how stakeholders can engage the new generation in planning their urban present and future through participatory processes and local leadership opportunities. The world is rapidly urbanizing, and many urban residents these days are young people, especially in some countries in Africa and Asia. Currently, youth in the global south make up 70% or more of cities. By 2050, cities are projected to host approximately 70% of the world's population, highlighting the pressing need for inclusive urban planning and sustainable development. Hence, World Habitat Day presents a unique opportunity to celebrate the contributions of youth to sustainable urbanization while addressing the challenges of rapid urban growth. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
The federal government has reiterated commitments to allocating resources to ensure the commencement of the special agro-processing zones before December this year. Musa Aliu reports.
The special agro-industrial processing zones came into being in 2019 like a newborn baby. But 7 years later, it is yet to take its first step. Federal government, African Development Bank and Islamic Development Bank, alongside International Fund for Agricultural Development, are the financial of the project. This stakeholders meeting was organized under the supervision of the African Development Bank.
Is that we need to force, and I use the word force, a transition from our low-income, low-equilibrium economy to at least a middle-income economy.
We want to accelerate, but this acceleration must be enabled in compliance with financial agreements, with policies and procedure. This is really important.
Ministers of Agriculture and Food Security and that of Finance spoke on the factors responsible for the delayed takeoff and way out.
We will ensure they are fully equipped to execute their responsibilities as outlined in the project appraisal document and to deliver the accelerated implementation plan in line with the outcomes of today's discussions.
In which we can re-emphasize and recommit our determination to make the SAPZ model that is spread throughout the states of Nigeria.
7 states are currently participating in the first phase of the project. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Stay tuned for more stories after the break.
Imagine a world where your potential isn't limited by your bank account, where your financial dreams can become reality. That world is here with the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation scheme, Cervical. Cervical is one of President Tinubu's initiatives designed to put the power of consumer credit in the hands of working Nigerians. Here to help you achieve your goals, whether it's providing for your family or expanding your home or business. Visit www.credico.ng today for details. This is the renewed hope.
Thank you for saying. The federal government has issued 2 months ultimatum to the 11 electricity distribution companies in the country to upgrade their networks for seamless and safer electricity supply. The ultimatum, the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency, NEMA, says follows continued incidents of electrocution in the country, which claimed lives and property, and investigation attributes obsolete distribution networks as responsible for some of the incidents. At a stakeholders' engagement on improving service delivery in the power sector, the role of NEMA on standardization, there are calls for distribution companies to step up service delivery and ensure old power lines are rehabilitated.
We're on a journey to getting to high and above, but we need to do something around our electricity. And whatever you can do, I know you're working very hard around the safety and around this metering, but please let us raise the bar.
2 months is ending next week, so our officers are already on ground, so they will swing into action. They will go and monitor those places and get back to us at the headquarters for the necessary action. I want to call on our customers, to all of us, because electricity is a good servant, but a bad master. It's associated with hazards. There's need to effectively mitigate these hazards. And to do that is to ensure that your electrical installations is carried out by a certified personnel.
Cybercrime is spreading fast and schools are not spared. To stem the tide, the Nigeria Police National Cybersecurity Center is engaging students of secondary schools on the dangers. Francis Form reports that the NPF Cybercrime Center takes the campaign against cybercrime to the POA Model Secondary School, Abuja.
This mentorship school we posted, they recruited teenagers. They're teaching them how to hack, how to go into romance camp, how to go into extortion, and how to distribute malwares and a whole lot of things. And apart from the ills of the cybercrime, we still have to teach them tips on how to stay safe online.
And we'll incorporate what we have been taught and ensure to have a free cyber environment.
Yahoo is an illegal activity, it's a crime and we should not engage in it.
The teaching and everything was a good one to stop and prevent teenagers from thinking of entering into cybercrime.
The theme for this year's Cybersecurity Week is Secure Our World. Federal government is poised to review laws and policies to adopt a reformative approach towards addressing the root causes of criminal behavior in children, such as poverty, neglect, and lack of education. The Solicitor General of the Federation and Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Justice, Beatrice Jediagba, stated this at the opening of a 2-day stakeholders forum on ending violence against children in Nigeria, holding in Abuja. Chukwu Nonso Nwabweze reports.
A study by the National Population Commission indicates that about 6 in 10 children experience some forms of violence in Nigeria. This Stakeholders Forum on Ending Violence Against Children in Nigeria, convened by the Federal Ministry of Justice in partnership with UNICEF, therefore is to galvanize cooperation, support, and institutional resources with a view to ending the scourge.
The Federal Ministry of Justice has continued to partner with UNICEF, as well as other donor agencies, as well as respective heads of court, with a view to developing the capacity of judges and magistrates on the implementation and enforcement of the Child Rights Act, especially in the area of effective use of family court rules and procedures.
So as you prepare for the upcoming meeting, there will be a national preparatory meeting that will convene the various key line ministries. As you prepare for that, we hope your reflection on the progress made, the challenges you encountered in the justice area, and your commitments that you're charting forward will inform the discussion.
Ending violence against children participants agree requires a multifaceted approach with concerted and intentional efforts of all stakeholders, institutions and development partners, particularly those saddled with developing and implementing government policies.
We must advocate for comprehensive legal framework that not only protect children but also ensure that these laws are effectively implemented.
I will continue to speak to my other traditional rulers so we can take child protection very, very, very serious.
We must come together as stakeholders, governments, NGOs, community leaders, and citizens to create a safe space for our children.
The two-day meeting, attended by participants from various states across the country, is preparatory to the Global Ministerial Conference on Ending Violence Against Children coming up in Colombia in November, where Nigeria is expected to make presentations on its commitment at tackling the menace. Chukunonsonwa Bweze, NTA News.
The Senior Staff Association of Statutory Corporations and Government-Owned Companies in NAFDAC chapter have commenced an indefinite nationwide strike after the expiration of the 14-day ultimatum issued to the management of NAFDAC as a result of its failure to address some critical issues outlined by the association. Aman Jabani was at the NAFDAC office in Abuja and reports that no staff was allowed entry into the premises except management staff.
Senior Staff Association of Statutory Corporation and Government-Owned Companies, arising from Congress on the 20th of September 2024, outlined 16 demands for immediate and substantial action to rectify current deficiencies and fair practices with the agency. Some of the demands include review of 2024 promotion examination results, appointment of directors for public affairs, special duties, training institute, Northwest, North-South extraction in line with federal character, self-funding of local and foreign official trips. Others are non-payment of salary arrears for 2022 employees, pending burial expenses, life insurance, and repatriation allowance, among others.
We cannot allow that to continue in this agency. We are not asking them to carry their money and give us. What we are asking them to do is justice, and let that justice prevail in NAFDAC. If that justice happens, there will be peace. I will call off that strike immediately.
NTA News spoke with Principal Admin Officer of National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC.
To the best of my knowledge, a letter has been written to request that the minister support their request for expansion of vacancies.
Go back to the drawing board, liaise with the management. This management have been one of the management have had a listening ear to the unions.
The union says the strike is indefinite. Haman Jabani, NTA News.
Now, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says it will continue to strengthen collaboration with stakeholders and provide unfettered access to its partners, who may be willing to contribute their quota to the rehabilitation of disaster victims and mitigation of such disasters. Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Zubaida Umar, stated this during the Customer Service Week celebration by the agency. Ilyas Yakubu reports.
Effective collaboration in the business of disaster management, experts say, is one of the surest ways of reducing the hazards of the menace. This Customer Service Week celebration was organized by the agency to appreciate stakeholders for the unwavering support and collaboration in managing disasters across the country. The DG NEMA said, at the heart of any successful agency lies its commitment to delivering exceptional service to most vulnerable members of the society, victims of emergencies and disasters.
Let us not forget that the people we serve are often at their most vulnerable when they come into contact with us. The empathy, professionalism, and dedication you display when dealing with affected individuals and communities speak volumes about NEMA's core values of service, integrity, and humanity. This is customer service at its highest peak.
In their goodwill messages, the stakeholders commended NEMA for providing the avenue to interact and appreciate their contributions. Awards were presented to some deserving persons for their outstanding performance in managing disasters in Nigeria. In Abuja, Ilyasu Yakubu, NTA.
And now a quick look at the weather prospects for Tuesday in Nigeria and major cities around the world. And that's the news at this time on NTA International. We thank you for being there. Precious Ozoimina has been the sign language interpreter, and I remain Lami Ali. Do have a good evening.